All right, today we're diving into a document with a claim that is, well, it's pretty out there. It alleges that for decades, a secret, illegal war has been fought against extraterrestrial visitors, completely hidden from the public and even from presidents. So, let's take a look at the case it makes.
Okay, so right out of the gate, this document hits you with a massive number. It claims that on a global scale, this covert program has shot down and recovered over 1,000 extraterrestrial vehicles. 1,000. That's the staggering claim we're exploring today.
So let's get right into it. What's the core allegation here? What is this document actually claiming is going on in the shadows?
The main idea here is that we're not talking about a few random UFO crashes. No. The source describes a deliberate, super advanced, global operation specifically created to hunt, disable, and capture extraterrestrial craft. We're talking about an active, aggressive campaign.
And get this, according to the source, this isn't some secret government group acting alone. Nope. It points the finger straight at some of the biggest names in the defense world, claiming they're the ones developing the technology and actually running these retrieval missions.
Okay, so if you've got an operation this huge, how in the world do you pull it off? Well, that brings us to the alleged infrastructure behind it all, this massive hidden network.
Yeah, the document calls them DUMBs, deep underground military bases. And look, these aren't just your standard bunkers. They're described as enormous, interconnected cities, basically, hidden deep underground, serving as the real heart of this whole operation.
And the tech they supposedly use to build this network, it's something straight out of sci-fi. It describes this nuclear-powered machine that doesn't drill, it melts the bedrock. The molten rock then cools into this super smooth, glassy tunnel wall. And then they install high-speed maglev trains to connect these bases, moving people and material around at incredible speeds, completely out of sight.
So they have the bases, the transport, but how do they actually take down these craft? Well, the program allegedly uses some seriously advanced weapons. We're talking powerful, directed electromagnetic pulse weapons, EMPs, that are capable of just frying the electronics of a target and making it fall right out of the sky.
You know, this level of secrecy, if it's true, it has to come at a price. And according to this document, it's a horrifying one. That brings us to the alleged human cost of keeping this all under wraps.
So, look at this comparison. It really lays out the two alleged realities, right? A private plane goes missing near a test site. The official story is one thing, but the document, it claims the real story is a witness elimination protocol. A pilot vanishes. The source suggests it could be an accidental casualty from one of those EMP weapons. An unexplained incident is really an active cover-up and erasure of all the evidence.
And the protocols they describe, man, they are just chilling. Imagine this. Any civilian aircraft, a Cessna, a private jet, anything that accidentally flies into the wrong airspace during one of these operations, they say it's taken down. Everyone on board, referred to as biologicals, is eliminated. The wreckage is completely destroyed, and then operatives and other agencies file bogus reports to cover the whole thing up.
And it's not just about the external victims. What about the people inside these programs? The document paints a really grim picture. It says many of them were brought in when they were young, and now they're just stuck. They're in this kind of moral prison, unable to get out or say a word about what they're doing.
So it all begs the question, why? Why all this aggression? This is where the document really widens the lens to talk about the visitors themselves and, the potential cosmic fallout from all this.
This quote right here from the source, it just flips the whole script, doesn't it? It basically argues that we're the problem here. We're the aggressors, attacking beings who aren't hostile at all, and who, in some cases, might not even understand the concept of war.
So that leads to a really important question, one the source itself raises. If these visitors aren't a threat, why on earth would anyone want to make them seem like the enemy? And that's where this idea of a false disclosure comes in.
So what is false disclosure? Well, according to this document, it's basically a massive, long-planned propaganda campaign. The goal? To create a fake alien threat to scare everyone, justify insane military budgets, and keep the secret groups running the show in power.
But there's a huge warning in the document. It says that, yeah, these civilizations might be peaceful, but you can only push someone so far. If this aggression keeps up, we could cross a red line and force a response from beings who would much rather just leave us alone. And then there's this quote. The source attributes it to Ben Rich, the former head of the legendary Lockheed Skunk Works. We have the means to take ET home. Just think about that. It's presented as this chilling little admission of not just having the tech, but having the aggressive mindset to use it.
Okay, so the document lays all this out, but it's not just a collection of claims. It has a goal, and that goal is to drag all of this out into the open, which brings us to our final section, the call for disclosure.
So how has this stayed secret for so long? The source uses a great analogy, a hall of mirrors. Imagine Congress tries to investigate. They ask the government, and the government says, oh, that's private corporate information. So they go to the corporation, and the corporation says, sorry, that's a top secret government project. See? It's a perfect loop, designed to make sure no one can ever get a straight answer.
And it's not just a theory. The source gives a specific example. Take a look at Dugway Proving Grounds. It alleges that corporate contractors control 52% of it, more than half. So even if the government wanted to investigate, they'd literally be walking into a private company's territory.
This is where the document makes a really bold legal move. It basically says, look, these projects are illegal. They're unconstitutional. And if something is illegal, you can't just slap a top secret stamp on it and make it legal. The classification is invalid, which means whistleblowers are legally protected to come forward.
And the call to action here is crystal clear. They're saying no more closed-door briefings in those secret little rooms, those SIFs. Nope. They want open, public hearings, under oath, in front of the cameras for the whole world to see. It argues that's the only way to shatter the secrecy.
So in the end, what this document is really pushing for is what it calls catastrophic disclosure, a complete, sudden, rip the Band-Aid off reveal of, well, everything. And if any of this is true, it leaves us with one heck of a question. What happens the day after?